Hi, I'm Mark and welcome to the 2024 ADAC Sim Racing Expo. So we have already been busy setting up the booth. With us we brought two NOVUS X motion simulators and two regular X cages as well. On all of our sims you'll find VPG wheels and MME shifters, and so it only makes sense that we will be presenting our products together. This has been our journey so far. So we indeed played with the timing a little bit. Right now it's Saturday, the third day for us in Dortmund, which you can probably hear by my voice, which is completely shot by all the reviews with film with content creators. But before we show you that content, I think it's better we take a look at how we set up our booth together with VPG and MME. Okay, Suellio, so you tried our sim. How do you find it, and do you think it differs from other products in the market in any way?
I think, well, first of all, I didn't want to stop. So I was testing, we tested 3 wheels, and for me, I always say this, whenever equipment is good, you don't think about it, you just get into the flow state and you want to drive. So I right away found myself trying to go faster and feeling all the emotions, and immediately everything was set up in a way that was intuitive. Okay. So I just went straight to driving, right? So, and then one thing that really brought me to real life and real life memories of racing my Radical is the motion. Because sometimes the motion was so intense that it even threw my leg out of the pedal and I had to reach the pedal again, which is something you have to do in real life. Okay. So as soon as I did that, my brain was like, oh, whoa, this is real life, like motions that I'm doing right now, not necessarily in the sim. So it was very immersive, that I can say for sure.
So Steve, you did a few laps on our X motion. How did you like the experience?
I think it's really good. Normally, motion rigs aren't something I'm familiar with. I don't normally play on them. I find them a bit too over the top. But this one, I think it does it the right amount. Right? You feel the curb, you feel that you're braking, and it does it to a degree that doesn't. You're not thinking about it. I think that's the key. The fact that I'm driving, it feels right. I'm not overly aware that I'm in a rig that's moving around. It just feels natural. So that's probably the best thing I can say about it. It's just, it feels natural, it feels right, it feels everything's done to the right amount.
Okay, good. And how did you like the driver ergonomics of our X Gauge simulator?
It's good. I mean, I haven't played iRacing in a while, so I was getting more used to that. But once I worked out you have to hit the brake pretty hard, I felt comfortable. Like the GT3 Mustang rim, yeah, feels nice. I didn't really play around with the buttons too much, but once I felt comfortable after, let's say, a lap and a half, it was good. You really feel immersed. Even in an expo, I felt like I almost forgot that I was in the expo and I was actually at Spa. So yeah, really good experience.
So Kireth, hey, just driven our sim. What is the general impression it left on you?
So I did like it. I think with motion sims, sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't like it. I think sometimes they feel like a roller coaster and they detract from the driving. Okay. And the thing I look for most in a motion sim for me is when I stand on the brakes, I want to feel all that weight come forwards. Okay. Okay. And I don't just want to be battered around on the road. So what I liked here, when I was coming down the Kemmel Straight at Spa into Lake Hume, stand on the brakes, feel it, and then it gives me a little bit more sensation of keeping the wheel straight. So I liked it. It didn't feel overpowering, which I like. Obviously, I went over a few sausage curbs. It's going to be mad, but that's how it is in real life. But yeah, my thing is on motion is like I think it's easy to like overpower it and be like, oh, there's motion. But I think the sensations are actually really, really small, which I enjoyed.
So Mike, you've driven our X Motion.
Yes.
How do you find it, and why do you think it's how do you think it's different from other products on the market?
You know, it's the immersion on this rig was incredible. You know, it's the motion combined with the large screens surrounding you. It's like nothing else. You know, to have a setup like this in your home, you know, this is a complicated setup, and I think being able to get something like this turnkey is really really important, I think, right? Just in terms of how it was tuned to. A lot of times I try motion systems, and if it's not tuned correctly, it doesn't feel right? But it felt very, you know, natural after a while, right? After the first lap, you're a little bit surprised, but then you get used to it after a few laps, you know?
Ruben and Amir, you just drove the sim. What are the general impressions on the motion system?
I said already, this I think is the best motion that we have felt it. We try ACC, the Mustang, the wheel feels very well. I think pedal make a difference when you are turn braking, but the motion is amazing. I don't know what Amir says.
Yeah, so when I was here last year, I tried your guys' motion out, and I was actually able to lift up the rig, and it was very, very light. I could lift it up with one hand, and it really shows here with how lightweight the rig is, how lightweight the wheel you guys are using from VPG, and it feels like I'm floating on air, but like with the motion working in perfect sync with the rest of the rig, where I knew exactly what was going on between the car losing traction on the rear, or if the front end was kind of pulling in, and with especially when I'm hitting the curbs, I'm hitting, you know, the bumps in the road and everything just felt really good. So I was able to take that feedback. It only took me like one lap to get used to all the feedback that I was getting and actually be able to really start pushing the car and driving it on the limit. So it was really, really good effort on you guys.
And the elevation, when you are in overroads, you feel a little bit.
Yeah, you feel that lift, everything. And I think with the motion, how you guys have worked that software and how lightweight the profile is, the rig, they work really well together and making sure you can get like a really good immersive experience.
How did you find the responsiveness of the motion?
In one word, natural.
Okay.
It's the first thing you jump in the car and you start to move around, and right away it feels connected. You connected with the road, connected with the car, and what I felt is like I'm used to a non-moving platform. So in order to get more feel, you need more force feedback. I don't say more effects, but more force. But with this kind of setup, the way I felt it with the laps that I done, is that you don't need that force, because the other things that you get from the force feedback, you get from the platform itself. So if the car starts to move around, if you lose grip or you gain grip, you're gonna feel it. The minute you lose grip, it loosens up, and then you get grip, it tightens up again, and you feel it through your body. And I'm almost getting goosebumps because it's so natural. It's really well done, guys. You did a hell of a job.
As far as the hardware is concerned, I mean, I'm not a small guy. The equipment on there is, you know, they're active pedals, super, you know, heavy stuff on there, and it's throwing it around like it weighs nothing. So the limitations or my issues, as you alluded to, about hardware are not necessarily, or about motion, are not necessarily with the hardware. It's just the implementation I don't think is exactly there yet. But this was well able to throw me around, and especially one time I went over a curb and it really did feel like something hit the bottom of the car, and that is really good. And for those who want that experience, I mean, it's as good as it gets as far as I can see.
Well, with that, the 2024 ADAC Sim Racing Expo is a wrap. We are indeed pretty tired, but that is completely overshadowed by the overwhelmingly positive response we had with you lot. A sincere thank you from our side to all of the organizers and the visitors. It has truly been a blast.